Alright, I got all the Draco stuff at sneak peek, spent the last week crafting a perfect build, think I've got one ready to finally show my channel. Let's go ahead and get started. Oh, cool. Triff just uploaded a profile. Let's see how different our lists are.
This is the updated Dracoslayer deck profile. I'm going to discuss everything in depth and everything you guys need to know, as well as side deck, which is why I didn't really add the side deck here. Everything you guys are going to need to know for this video about Dracoslayer is going to be right here. So let's get straight into it.
God damn it, he beat me to it. What's going on, guys? Super Insane 18 here, and unfortunately my plan for today was ruined. The plan was to do a double upload with a deck profile and a combo tutorial for the Dracoslayer archetype, but unfortunately the build that I have been working on for the past several days is card for card exactly the same as the one that Triff uploaded yesterday, so I'm foregoing the deck profile. If you want to see the profile, go ahead and check out his channel. Honestly, I mean, he's the pen god, nothing else really needs to be said, so it's at least a little refreshing that my build was exactly the same as his. So let's go ahead and just show you guys the combos. Alright, so the really cool thing about Dracoslayers is that every single combo in the deck can essentially lead you to the same end board, but not only that, it is all just 2.5 card combos. As long as you have 2 of your pendulum monsters and any card to discard, which is the half card, you can make some absolutely crazy boards. So we're going to show you this first one, and it is going to be using Ignis Phoenix, the Magispector Raccoon Bunbuku, and any discard. We've just got Tactics Talents because it doesn't matter, literally anything that you can discard. So what we are going to do is we are going to start our turn by normal summoning out our Bunbuku and activating its effect to add the copy of Majesty Pegasus. Now, Majesty Pegasus says that it is always treated as a Magispector card, which is why this can search it. So a really cool interaction there. But now we're going to go ahead and activate our scales. And this is where the ball gets rolling. We're going to use the effect of the Majesty Pegasus. This is going to add us our copy of Dynamite Power Load, and then we can optionally destroy a card in the Pendulum Scale. In this case, we do want to destroy because we will get the effect of Ignis Phoenix. So we destroy the Ignis Phoenix and activate its effect, summoning out our copy of Luster Pendulum. Now we have 2 monsters on board, one of which is Pendulum. Both of them are, but one being important. We're going to go ahead and we are going to get rid of those to summon out our Beyond the Pendulum. Let me just make sure everything is in frame. Alright, so now we summon out the Beyond the Pendulum, and Beyond the Pendulum will activate, paying 1,200 life points to add us our copy of Harmonizing. Now what we can do is we can go ahead and activate our Dynamite Power Load in our other scale and pen summon 3 cards. We're going to summon out the Harmonizing, we're going to summon out the Luster Pendulum, and we're going to summon out our Ignis Phoenix. And this is going to activate the effect of the Harmonizing on summon to summon out any magician, but it is banished when it leaves the field. We are going to summon out our Purple Poison Magician. Now what we can do is we can take the Luster Pendulum and the Ignis Phoenix, and we can go ahead and, if I don't throw cards everywhere, we can go ahead and summon out our copy of Ignister Prominence. Now, Ignister Prominence can activate its effect to summon a Dracoslayer from our deck, which we will do to summon out our copy of Majesty. Now, Majesty, if it's summoned by the effect of a Dracoslayer, lets us add any field spell in the game to our hand, and then discard a card. So we are going to go ahead and add our Sky Iris, and this is where the discard comes into play. So now we are fully set up to continue setting up this crazy board. We're going to activate our Sky Iris because it's important that we have 3 spells in rotation. Technically we have 4 because of our discard, but we're not going to count that because it could have been a monster. So we've got our 3 spells in rotation. We're going to take the Beyond the Pendulum and our Ignister Prominence, and these are going to be used to summon out our copy of Selene. Now, Selene here will have 4 because we discarded the Tactics Talents, but for example's sake, we're going to just count the 3 on field in case that's the scenario that you find yourself in, but that's really the important part. Now what we can do is we can take the Harmonizing Magician and the Purple Poison. Don't forget that the Purple Poison is banished when it leaves the field, and this is going to go into our copy of Borreload Savage Dragon. Now, Borreload Savage Dragon will activate, and we can equip the Beyond the Pendulum from our graveyard to it, and give it 2 Boral counters. Now, I actually had to double check this card because I thought it was absolutely crazy that you could do this, but if you get rid of the equipped monster, it still keeps the counters. The only thing it needs the equip for is to gain the attack, so we will be getting rid of this a little bit later. But now what we can do is we can use the Dynamite Power Load to summon out our other scale, and this will put our Majesty on the field, which gives us the 2 level 4s that we need in order to overlay into our copy of Magister Paladin. Now we'll activate the Magister Paladin on summon. What this will do is it will let us search any pendulum monster from our deck to our hand in the end phase, and that's just kind of a continuous effect now that you have to remember at the end, but it does have another effect where we can go ahead and detach one to summon out a Dracoslayer from our extra deck. So we're going to bring back the Luster Pendulum because it is a tuner, and then now we have a spellcaster in the grave, so we can go ahead and remove the counters off of our Selene to resummon out our Majesty. Next, we can take the Selene and the Magister, which is a Link 3+1 monster, and this will allow us to make a copy of Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess. This is only going to have 2 negates, but that's really all that you need for this combo. And now what we can continue to do is just pop off. We're going to use the Sky Iris and the Beyond the Pendulum, or to pop the Beyond the Pendulum. This is going to add us our copy of Odd Eye's Revolution Dragon. Now, Odd Eye's Revolution Dragon, we can activate it in the scale and use its effect to destroy itself. This will allow us to reborn out our copy of Ignister Prominence. Now, Ignister Prominence is actually not once per turn, which is absolutely crazy. So we're going to use the Ignister Prominence to summon another Draco from the deck, and this is going to summon out a copy of Dynamite. Now we can take the Dynamite and the Luster, and we can go ahead and contact fuse them into a copy of Dinoster. And this will actually activate the effect of the Dynamite when you tribute it, because you do tribute to summon this. And you can add any of your Dracoslayers back from your extra deck. We're going to go ahead and add the Ignis back to our hand. Next, what we can do is we can go ahead and use the Dinoster effect to summon any of our Dracoslayers from our graveyard. So we're going to go ahead and summon out the Majesty, and now we're going to take the Ignister and the Dinoster, and we're going to overlay those into a copy of number 38 Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. That is a mouthful. And then we are going to take our 2 level 4s, and because of the format we are in, it is very important to establish an Abyss Dweller. So we're going to go ahead and use the Abyss Dweller, and now we can proceed to end phase. We need to not forget that we have the Magister that we have to resolve. So what this will do is this will let us add a copy of Bunbuku from our deck to our hand, and we still have 1 Majesty in the deck, meaning we have a guaranteed low scale when we normal summon our Bunbuku. And yeah, so we end our board on 2 monster negates, no graveyard effects, a spell negate that can also redirect attacks because the Appaloosa really isn't that big, and an Omni negate. We will have 2 Omni negates, but it is once per turn, and we have all the follow-up that we need for our next turn. Alright guys, combo number 2 is another 2.5 card combo, but it is slightly interchangeable. Now, this is not a combo that you can actually do in the variant of the deck that I am playing, but it is an incredibly strong combo, so I wanted to showcase it for you guys, just to make sure that if this is the route you wanted to go with the deck, that you did have this as an option. One of the cards is interchangeable. The Luster can actually also be an Odd Eye's Revolution, because Odd Eye's Revolution can just detach to go ahead and summon out the Luster Pendulum, but let's show you guys how this works. What we're going to do is we're going to normal summon out our Bunbuku and use its effect to grab our Majesty Pegasus. Then we can go ahead and activate both of our scales and activate the Majesty Pegasus to add us our copy of Dynamite. Now, Majesty's effect to destroy a scale is optional, so we do not have to do that. Instead, we are going to use the Luster to pop our Majesty, and this will let us add a second Majesty. Next, we can go ahead and activate our Dynamite and use its effect to summon out our other scale, putting the Luster on board. This gives us the 2 monsters that we need to go ahead and summon out our copy of Beyond the Pendulum. Now, Beyond the Pendulum will activate on summon, paying 1,200 life points to add us our copy of Harmonizing Magician, and now we are free to activate our other Majesty in our scale and pen summon 3 monsters. We're going to summon out the Harmonizing, the Luster, and the Majesty, and this is then going to activate the Harmonizing, which is going to summon out our Purple Poison from our deck. Next, we're going to take the Luster and the Majesty, and this is going to Synchro Summon into a copy of Ignister Prominence, which we will then use its effect to summon out a Majesty from our deck, activating the Majesty effect to add our Sky Iris and discard our 1 card that we had designated. Here, what we can do is we can go ahead and use the Harmonizing and the Purple Poison. Again, make sure that the Purple Poison does get banished by the effect of the Harmonizing, and this will go ahead and summon out our other copy of Ignister. We can then activate the Ignister effect here to summon out our copy of Dynamite from the deck, and now we can use the Dynamite and the Majesty to go into our copy of Majesty Paladin. Majesty Paladin will activate on summon to let us add during the end phase, but more importantly than that, what we're going to do is activate our Sky Iris, and then we can use the Sky Iris to pop our copy of Dynamite, adding our copy of Revolution Dragon. Here we're going to use the Majesty Paladin, making sure that we specifically get rid of the Majesty underneath it to resummon out our Dino from the extra deck, and then we can take the Odd Eyes Revolution and activate it. Next is a really important step. Before we use the Odd Eyes Revolution, we're going to go ahead and use the Beyond the Pendulum and the Ignister. And this is going to go ahead and summon our Selene, which again would technically have 4, but for example's sake, we're only going to count the 3 on field because your discard might not have been a spell. And now we can activate the Odd Eyes Revolution Dragon to go ahead and resummon out our copy of Ignister Prominence. Now what we can do is we can use the Ignister Prominence to go ahead and summon out an Ignis from our deck. And then we can use the Dynamite and the Ignis. And this is going to go ahead and summon out our copy of Dinoster. Now, because we tributed the Dynamite, we can add a Dracoslayer back to our hand, so we are going to add the Ignister that we just put back there as well. And now we're going to take the Ignister and the Majesty Paladin, and we're actually going to hard summon out a copy of Natis. Now what we can do is we can go ahead and use the effect of the Dinoster, which is going to go ahead and summon out our copy of Dynamite from the graveyard. And here we're going to then use the Selene, removing all 3 of its counters to summon out our copy of Majesty. We're going to use the Majesty and the Dino to go ahead and go into our copy of Dagda. And here what we're going to do is we're going to actually activate the effect of Natis to summon a card from our hand, and then chain our Dagda. Dagda is going to go ahead and set our copy of Artifact Scythe, and then the Natis will go ahead and resolve, summoning out our copy of Ignis. Now we can take the Dagda and the Natis. We can go ahead, or the Dagda and the Selene, my bad, and go into our copy of Appaloosa. Then we can go ahead and turn our Entity and our Ignis into our copy of Dweller, and then we can take our 2 level 8s and turn them into a copy of Harbinger. So now what we essentially did is we have a 2 negate Appaloosa, we have a spell negate with the Harbinger, as well as an attack reflection, and what we're going to do is in our opponent's draw phase, we're going to activate the Dweller, detaching specifically the Natis. This is going to lock our opponent out of the graveyard, and then we can use the Natis to destroy our Scythe, activating our Scythe to summon itself and lock our opponent out of the extra deck. So at the end of the day, what we have is we have 2 monster negates, no extra deck, no grave, no spells, and you have attack redirect so they can't just swing over your Appaloosa. And during the end phase, I also forgot you are going to use the Magister to search another Pendulum monster, meaning you have follow-up for your next turn as well. Alright, now combo number 3 and combo number 4 are actually going to be kind of the same combo. Combo number 3 is what you are going to do if you play it all the way through. Combo number 4 is going to be the exact same combo, but what happens if you get Nibiru? So let's go ahead and show you guys combo number 3, then we'll backtrack it to 4 so we can show you guys the Nibiru play. This is going to be using Perform Pal Skullcrobat Joker, the Majesty Pegasus, and any discard. And what we are going to do is we are going to start by normal summoning out the Perform Pal Skullcrobat Joker, and this is going to let us add our copy of Odd Eyes Revolution from our deck to our hand. Now Odd Eyes Revolution can go ahead and discard, pay 500 to add us our copy of Luster, and now we are good to go. We're going to go ahead and activate both of our scales. We're going to use the effect of the Majesty to add our copy of Dynamite, and then we can use the Luster to pop the Majesty. This will let us add another copy of Majesty, and now we can go ahead and use the Dynamite and use its effect to summon out our Luster. Now typically we would go to Beyond the Pendulum, but before we do that, we're actually going to go ahead and make a copy of Ignister. And now what we can do is we can use the Ignister to summon out a copy of the Dynamite from our deck, and now we're going to actually link these 2 into our copy of Beyond the Pendulum. Beyond the Pendulum is going to go ahead and activate. This will add us a copy of Astrograph Sorcerer, signed by Triff the Pen God himself. Shout out to him for signing that at the 2020 YCS 3v3 for me. But yeah, now we can go ahead and activate our scale, and here we are going to Pendulum Summon 2 monsters. Now what we're going to do is the Dynamite and the Majesty here, and this will activate the Majesty to go ahead and add our copy of Sky Iris and discard our triple tactics. Now, I do want to say that the play can somewhat diverge here. It is always safer to go for the Dynamite, just because you want to be able to play through a Nibiru, but if you're not fearing the Nibiru and you would rather end on a Harbinger instead of an IP, instead of using the Dynamite, you're going to resummon out the Luster, and then just make another Ignister, but we want to play through the Nibiru, so we are always going to go for this, and now we are good to continue. Here, what we're going to do is we're going to take the monsters that we have available to us, and we're actually going to go ahead and make a copy of Appaloosa, which is why they have to Nibiru there, because now we have a 3-material Appaloosa, so if they didn't Nibiru, then it just kind of sucks, I guess. And now we're going to go ahead and activate our Sky Iris. Here we can use the Sky Iris. We're going to pop the Dino, and this is going to add us our copy of Revolution Dragon. And here we're going to activate the Revolution Dragon and use its effect, destroying itself, to resummon out our copy of Ignister. Here, because we destroyed a Pendulum, we can go ahead and use our Astrograph Sorcerer to summon itself out and add another copy of Revolution from our deck to our hand. And then here we're going to use the effect of Ignister to summon out another copy of Dynamite. Now we're going to take the Ignister and the Astrograph, and we're going to go ahead and summon out a copy of IP Masquerena. And then we can use the Revolution again. Actually, did I put... That goes there. That does not go to the graveyard. But now we activate the Odd Eyes Revolution, and we use it to go ahead and summon out our copy of Ignister Prominence again. And then we can use the Ignister Prominence effect one more time, which will go ahead and summon out our copy of Ignis. Here we're going to overlay the Ignis and the Dynamite into our copy of Abyss Dweller, and that is going to be the turn. So now we're ending on a 3-negate Appaloosa with no grave effects, and we have an IP to be able to go ahead and interrupt our opponent further on their turn. That was again off of 2.5 cards, so we still have 2 cards in hand, which means we are probably able to follow up on the next turn, but it is also just a hard board to break. Let's go ahead and backtrack to the point where they would Nibiru us and show you guys how we play from there. Alright guys, so for combo number 4, we are going to backtrack to combo number 3 at the point we are currently at on the board. We just Pendulum summoned, we added our Sky Iris and discarded our card, and we have our Astrograph that we searched off beyond the Pendulum. As you saw in the last combo, if they don't Nibiru here, they cannot Nibiru because the next step is making an Appaloosa, so we are going to assume that this is the point at which we get Nibiru'd. So let's go ahead and give ourselves our Nibiru token, and now we are still able to just full combo through the Nibiru, because what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and activate the Sky Iris and use its effect to pop our Dynamite. This will let us add a copy of Revolution Dragon from our deck to our hand. We can then activate our Revolution Dragon and use its effect, destroying itself, to resummon out our copy of Ignister Prominence. And because a card was destroyed, we can use the Astrograph Sorcerer to summon itself and add another copy of our Revolution Dragon. Here we're going to use the Ignister Prominence. This is going to summon out a copy of Majesty from our deck, and then we are going to activate out our Revolution Dragon. The reason we do that is because we need 3 on field, because you guessed it, we're going to go ahead and use the token, the Astrograph, and the Ignister, and this is going to go ahead and go into a copy of Selene. Now Selene is going to get 3, meaning that we are able to use it later on in the combo, and now we can use our Revolution Dragon again to resummon out our copy of Ignister Prominence, and Ignister Prominence will activate its effect to summon a copy of Ignis from our deck. Here we're going to take the Ignister and the Majesty, and we're going to go ahead and overlay them into a copy of Magister Paladin. This is then going to allow us to activate the effect to search in the end phase, but also we can detach specifically the Majesty, and this will let us summon out our Luster Pendulum from our extra deck. Here we are going to use the Selene to reborn out our Majesty, and then we can use the Luster and the Majesty, and this is going to go into another copy of Ignister. Here the Ignister is going to go ahead and summon out a copy of Ignis from our deck, and now we can do something really cool. We're going to go ahead and use the Selene and the Majesty, and this is going to go ahead and summon out our copy of World Sea Dragon Zelantis. On summon, Zelantis is going to go ahead and banish all of the cards on the field, including itself, and then reborn them back in a position of our choice. So we're going to go ahead and reborn the Zelantis, we're going to get back both of our Ignisters, and we can summon back the Ignis, and now, as you already know, Ignister is not once per turn, meaning we can just go ahead and activate these again. Here we're going to use one of the Ignisters, and we're going to summon out the Dino from our deck, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take the World Sea Dragon Zelantis and the Ignister we just used, and we're going to go ahead and summon out a copy of Cross Sheep. Now what we can do is we can use the Dino and the Ignister. This is going to go ahead and go into our copy of Dinoster, and now we get to activate Cross Sheep and Dynamite. Dynamite is going to add the Ignis back to our hand, and the Cross Sheep is going to be able to summon the Ignis that we had as the material on the Magister, so now we can continue to play even further. Here we're going to use our Ignister, and that is going to summon out a copy of Master from our deck, just because we need another level 4. It really doesn't matter which one, and we're going to go ahead and overlay both of these into our copy of Abyss Dweller. Now, it's important that we actually use the Abyss Dweller here because we need to get a pendulum in our graveyard, so we're going to go ahead and use the Ignis as material, and then we can activate our Dinoster and resummon out our Ignis back to our side of the field. Next, we're going to activate the Ignis in our scale and use the effect of the Ignister Prominence to destroy it and shuffle Sky Iris back into our deck. This is important because it allows us to use the Ignis effect to summon out another monster from our deck, and now we can go ahead and turn the Cross Sheep and both of our pendulums into a 3-material Appaloosa, and then we can take the level 8s we have and go into a Hope Harbinger. So through a Nibiru, we still set up an Abyss Dweller for our opponent's turn with a 3-negate Appaloosa and a Hope Harbinger. And there you guys have it. That is 4 must-know Dracoslayer combos for the October 2022 post-Darkwing Blast format. If you like those last two especially, make sure you check out the spreadsheet. I got it from Triff's video, so I'm going to go ahead and link that down in the description. It does have, I believe it's like 43 or 46 Dracoslayer combos, as well as another 40 combos that are just Darkwing Blast in general, so honestly, it is really cool. And again, those last 2 combos, the way to play through Nibiru, did come from that spreadsheet, so make sure to check it out. All the love to them. It was really helpful when trying to learn this deck. So thank you guys so much for watching. You know the deal. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, comment, share with your friends, maybe consider supporting me on Patreon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.